Kevin Spacey has long been a sort of, I guess, victim of the Me Too witch hunt. There are new allegations being put against him by a Channel 4 documentary. I mean, it's often worth remembering with him that he has appeared in court multiple times. In every single civil and criminal case, he has found in his favour. Let's look at a little clip of him on Dan Wootton's podcast.
Nobody in Hollywood has ever presented a path back for me. There's no coursework material I've been given, no boxes to check, no nothing. It seems that some are content with just canceling me forever. It's a life sentence.
So life sentence essentially for allegations, many of which have essentially been found not to be credible in court. I mean, Paul, what do you make of that?
Well, I defend anyone's right to make allegations. You know, sexual allegations if they feel they're a victim, and of course, when someone does make those sorts of allegations, it's only right to take them seriously and to investigate them properly. But I also believe strongly in the presumption of innocence, and until somebody is found guilty of something like that in a court of law, then they have every right to expect to be treated in their personal life and in their professional life as being innocent. That is the whole principle of presumption of innocence. That is the foundation stone on which civilized societies are based, in my view. And I think we've seen a serious erosion of that principle in this country over recent years. And I think the Me Too campaign, and it had some merits, but nonetheless put rocket boosters under that kind of mindset that says, actually, we now regard people as guilty until proven innocent. And I just think it's wrong. I just think it's fundamentally wrong that someone can see their reputation and livelihood destroyed when they have not yet and may never be proved guilty in a court of law. I mean, there's a famous case a couple of years ago, Noel Clarke, I think his name was, wasn't it? And
big Guardian expose about it.
Yeah. The actor and screenwriter, and there was a big expose, and people came forward and said he was a sexual abuser and what have you, and those allegations were investigated, and the Met Police said these do not meet the threshold for criminality. And he subsequently, I think, won the first bout of his defamation campaign against the Guardian. But he was cancelled.
Yeah,
you know, the work dried up, and even when the allegations were made, before the police had even started investigating them, ITV pulled the program that he was involved in, and some of his sponsors said we want nothing more to do with him. And this was a guy who had never been found guilty of anything.
Yeah,
and you know, the message to those people is, look, one day it could be you. One day you, God forbid, you may find yourself on the end of an allegation that you know in your heart to be untrue, and you would expect that there should be no sanction against you, that you shouldn't suffer any sort of detriment. But too many people have forgotten. And there's an element of cowardice about it as well, because I think some institutions and corporations and individuals think, unless we are seen to be taking this action, people are going to come for us. Well, actually, stand by your principles and stand by the principle of the presumption of innocence. And there's too few people, I think, who are prepared to do that these days.
And it's worth remembering just how, I mean, literally Orwellian the cancellation of Kevin Spacey was. You know, he was digitally removed from a film, All the Money in the World, and replaced with Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was very like the commissar vanishes sort of approach to these things. But that was one of the things that was so striking about it, is the herd-like mentality that you got in the wake of not just the Kevin Spacey allegations, but others as well. The fact that people who had worked with him, the fact that people who again had even had a kind of financial interest in him staying on, like he was on House of Cards, wasn't he? When these allegations, when the first set of allegations were made, he was the complete centre point of that show, and he was just kicked off of it unceremoniously.
And of Netflix, essentially, at the time.
Exactly, huge boon to them. So it was the level of conformism was really striking. But now that all the kind of receipts are in, not just on Kevin Spacey, but on a lot of these Me Too kind of scandals that have taken place recently, it's so clear now that believe the victim is a recipe for injustice. It can be a recipe for injustice for those who are falsely accused. And where Kevin Spacey is concerned, at least where the courts are concerned, he is someone who has been exonerated. But we've also seen recently with the Harvey Weinstein case, again, the things he'd actually been convicted of in New York basically being upended, going to be subject to a retrial because of the fact that, as we pointed out on Spiked at the time, this atmosphere around Me Too is going to make it almost impossible for him to get a fair trial, along with what the particular judge was doing, what evidence they were able to allow, and so on. So it's clear that if the point of reflexively believing victims was to address some kind of profound injustice. It's just created a parallel and arguably deeper injustice.
Yeah.
And it hasn't got us any closer to actually being able to suitably deal with someone like Harvey Weinstein. I think most people accept was banged to rights on at least some of it at this point. So it's just been such a profound error. But I think it's one of so many examples of just the elites can just be whipped up into bouts of hysteria over certain things very quickly, and they don't really think about the consequences as they're going through it.